It says in the pasuk, this week's parsha, Kisiyena le'ishtei noshim, someone have two wives, ha'achas ha'uva v'achas ha'snua, v'yodoloi banim ha'uva ha'snua, v'hoya ben ha'bechar la'sniyah. Someone has two wives, one that ha'uva, that he loves, one that he doesn't, that he hates, and it actually says, it means through Isurim, one was married correctly, one wasn't married correctly, alav. And it says in the Torah, they both have children. The Ahuva and the Snua both have children. And the Ben HaBechar, the older one, happens to was born from the Sneah. So it says in the pasuk, when it comes to Avhoyim and Chile as Bonav, he can't go ahead and choose to give the Pishnayim, the Bechar, to the Ben Ahuva. If someone has two wives and the Snua gave birth first, then that kid is the Bechar. And even though he wants to give the Pishnayim to the Ahuva, still he can't do it. It has to go to the Snua.
Like you couldn't choose Reuben over Yosef.
You can't choose. Oh, so we'll get into that. So you can't choose. So it's a very interesting goyin on this pasuk. Could be some of you heard already beforehand. If you read the pasuk is a little interesting. What did it say in the pasuk? They had children. Who had children? It says first Ho'ahuva, and then it says, you heard the going already. I see man smiling.
I heard the question.
First Ahuva, and then the Snua was mashma. And the Ben HaBechar is to the Sneah. So Pashas, you read the pasuk, they both had children. The Ahuva and the Snua had children, and the Snua happened to have the Bechar. But the pasuk doesn't read so well. It says Ahuva had, and then the Snua had. And then it says, and the Ben HaBechar was to the Snua. So there's in Hilchas Nachalos, in Siman Reisha and Ches, the Cheder Shlomo brings down from Chaim Volozhiner, but it's said B'Shem the Gra, that he says like this. He says, how about if somebody had two wives? He married somebody, and within a couple of months, he decided he doesn't like her anymore. So he gives a get, and he marries somebody else. And then, they're both pregnant. They both became pregnant. What happened was, the second wife gave birth first. Didn't get a premium, whatever it was. The kid was born first. So Pash says, who's the Bechar? The Bechar goes to the second wife, because that kid was born first. It was his first child. Says the Goyin, it's not that way. Says the Goyin that B'negeya Bechar we go according to Yitzira, who was created first. That's what the Goyin says. Oh yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Yeah. Says the Goyin that we go according to the Yitzira, who was created first. So if you have someone had two wives, which he divorced the first one and the second one gave birth first, doesn't make a difference. The Bechar goes to the one who became pregnant first. And it says the guy that's what Pshat in the pasuk in this week's parasha is. Kisien al ishtei noshim, ha'achas ahuva v'achas snua, v'yod levanim ha'ahuva v'asnua. Who had children first? The ahuva had children first. V'yod levanim ahuva v'asnua, v'hoya ben ha'bechar la'sniyah. But happens to be the bechar was the sniyah. How's that possible? Because the sniyah became uberes first, and it's Yitzira, and they go according to the Yitzira who was created first. So whoever was created first is the Bechar. It's a big chiddush. The Pashas go according to Peterachem, not Peterachem, go according to the first one, the first child of the father and of birth.
And nobody before the Goin held like that? That was a Goin's chiddush?
It's a Goin's chiddush. It's a Goin's chiddush. So now, the Cheder Shlomo in Hilchas Nachala has a question. I have a better case. You have to come out to a funny case. What's the case? Someone got married, he divorced his wife, he married somebody else within a month or two, and they both became pregnant. I have a very partial case. You have twins. Someone who was first born was twins. Who's the Bechor? So you say the first one that's born, he's the Bechor. The second one is a regular Pashut, not a Bechor. Says the Chanoshna, what do you mean? It's a Rashi and Chumash, and it's a Medrash. Yaakov and Esav. When Yaakov was born, it says that when Esav was born, it says that Yaakov was holding on the Akev of Esav. The other Chezes, Ba'akev Esav, is holding on to the heel of Esav. And Rashi says, why? So Rashi says, because Yaakov was really the Bechor. Because it says, Rashi gives an example to a tube. You put let's say two balls into a tube, and then you turn it over. Which ball comes out first? The one that went in last. So it says, it's the same idea as a woman. You put two children in, you turn it over, and out comes, the first one that comes out was where the second one created. So it says Rashi from the Medrash that Yaakov was the Bechor al Pidin. Yaakov was the Bechor al Pidin because he was created first. He came out second, but he was created first.
So with parents?
Huh?
With parents.
Yeah. So and the same thing. So we'll get to all twins in a second. So it says the Chem Shlomo, why did the guy have to come out to a funny case of he married two wives? Every time the firstborn is twins, the one that's the Bechor should be the second one that's born because of this Rashi. Every time you have twins, it goes in one and then two, and then the one that's created second comes out first. So the one that's created first is the Bechor.
Well, we don't hold like that anyway. That's all the Meister.
No, the Goyen Paskins are Allah L'Maisa. The Goyen Paskins are Allah L'Maisa. Yeah. It's a bit of chlokes. What? So we'll get there in a second. Yeah. So this is the Chem Shlomo's kasha. This is the Chem Shlomo's. Why have to come on such a funny case where you have two wives every time you have twins?
Right.
The halacha should be the one that's born second is the Bechor because of this medrash. Says the Chem Shlomo, it's not a vada, it's suffix. Maybe it's a novel, like you said. Maybe it's only a medrash. We don't pass on our medrash that is that way. Maybe who says it is that way? The one that's created second comes out first. Therefore, it's always a suffix. It's always a suffix. And therefore, we don't go according to that medrash. That's why by twins we won't have this halacha.
We go where the first one is born.
By twins, we'll go even according to the Goyen. Says the Chem Shlomo, we'll go according to the first one that's born. Because the whole we can't pass it from a medrash.
So if there's a boy and girl, fraternal twins, and the girl comes out first, then there is no Bechor.
There's no Bechor, right? Girl comes out first, there's no Bechor. Even not fraternal twins, even identical twins. I happen to be a twin, and I was born first. And my brother always reminds me of that Rashi. Baruch told us.
Huh? You look the same?
Not at all. Not identical, but he always reminds me. The Rashi Pasha told us says that I'm.
Maisa, we don't hold that way.
Yeah, but
you tell him that.
Yeah, but I have an older brother anyway. So it doesn't make a difference. But
Do they always turn? Always turn? No, not necessarily.
yeah, mitzvahs you have to know. If you're a doctor, you know. I mean, what does it mean? The one that comes in first, the one that comes in second, and you never know. We never know. They can turn 5 times before they come out, right? Yeah. So that's what we don't paskin according to this medrash. So the Chem Shlomo has a kasha. Every twins are the same thing. We don't pass according to that medrash.
Right.
But the Goyen says that if you have someone has 2 wives, he passes halacha l'maisa. The one that's Bechor is the Yitzira. The one that's created first is the Bechor. Halacha l'maisa. Very paskins. If you have to share that Goyen, but anyway,
So that just eliminates the issue of premature children. Really, that's what that's about.
well, not definitely. They're not premature. If they divorced within a week or 2, and then right away she remarried. Yeah.
No, but if they're both
Full term.
If they both have a child at the same time,
You never
but
know.
one is not full term.
Right, that's what it is.
Right.
Otherwise, you
Then
don't
the
know.
woman who was full term conceived earlier.
Correct.
So what I'm saying is it eliminates the shortened pregnancy of somebody who's not full term in this discussion if they're both born at the same time.
That's what you mean. What do you mean?
The idea of saying that we're looking at the creation of the child.
Right.
It's here, as opposed to the birth of the child.
Correct.
The only issue here is
if one of them
child
is born,
doesn't.
Right, it's not full term.
Full term.
Right. Yeah. Only if one's not full term. Correct. If they're both full term, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it says the one is born early. The second one, the second wife gives birth not full term.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. And the truth is, in those days, there was find the Gemara. It's interesting. They're saying full term or not. Because finding the Gemara, something called a nail the shvi, a nail the chi. The Gemara has sometimes someone's born to the 7th, someone's born to the 9th. And the Gemara says, "Hanel the chi," someone's born to the 9th month. Ein no nail the mekutorim, can't be born early in the 8th month. Hanel the shvi could be born in the 6th month. That's the word it says, which doesn't really make sense. Because if it's a 9 months, so 8th month you can't be born, you can't live. The Gemara says the 7th month you could. Doesn't make sense. But what the Gemara means really is, right, so it's a straight Gemara. What the Gemara means is there was a mitzvah in those days of a 7-month term. We don't have that today. There was a mitzvah of a 7-month term and a 9-month term. So a 9-month term, if it's a 9-month term, a kid that's born in the 8th month, can't live. If it's a 7-month term, and the kid's born in the 6th month, the kid could live. That's what the Gemara means. So you can have
there was a mitzvah, a
7th month pregnancy,
was born
fully formed in the 7th month. Yeah, yeah. That's the shot in the Gemara.
That Gemara is always certificate.
Yeah, it's very hard.
He was born at the end of the 7th month.
Yeah.
And he was fully formed. It wasn't called premature at the time. Look at your records and you'll see. Look at your own records and you'll see.
But there was a season in those days of a 7-month full term. 7 months full term. So you can have, in this case, they're both full term, but one was born when the 7th month baby, one's a 9-month baby. That's the going. Share the going. But the halacha is, getting back into the main thing I want to speak about today, is that the halacha is that you can't go ahead and choose the bechar, which one you want to be the bechar. Now, from here we learn out Hilchas Nachala that if someone wants to give over his Yerusha from one child to the next, he can't. Right? Or from the daughter.
There's a way of doing it.
Yeah, we'll get to that. What's the way to do it? So the Lashon HaPasuk is La Yuchel Levaker. What does La Yuchel Levaker mean? It doesn't say Lo Yevaker. Anytime you have a lav in the Torah, it says Lo, you shouldn't do it. Not La Yuchel, you can't. Lashon La Yuchel, you can't means, the Rishonim say, means that even if you do it, it doesn't work. It means usually you say it's a lav. Don't go ahead and give over the Yerusha from the son to the daughter. Amongst sons, it could be you could do it. But let's say from a son to a daughter, let's say, which is a very famous question. You want to give over Yerusha, you want to split it amongst all your kids evenly, you write a will, and you give the daughter the same as the sons. So if it would say law, you can't, you shouldn't do it. Okay, I was over the lav. I did it anyway, and it's chal. La yuchal means you can't do it. It means even if you do it, besides the over the lav, it doesn't work. If someone goes ahead and writes in his will, he wants all his kids to share equally, it doesn't happen. If the son goes ahead, if the daughter goes ahead and takes it from the son, the daughter's a ganef. He has to give it back.
You go to the Torah and she'll lose.
To go to the Torah, she'll lose. You have to give it back. La yuchal doesn't work. And so what do we do? Someone wants to give to his daughter, so what do we do? There's definitely aces for it. But, so someone to write, people make a mistake. They think they're going to write, I'm giving all my stuff to matana before the person dies. Before I die, I want 50% to go to the son, 50% to go to my daughter. The halacha that doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Because you can't be makna davar shalei ba la'olam. You can't give over something that's not in the world yet. So a person, let's say now, to give examples, this doesn't apply to everybody, a person has now $1 million, let's say, right? And he wants to split it between his two kids. So he says, okay, this $1 million is split between two kids, $500,000 a kid, that's fine. And that's his will. He writes the will when he's 60 years old, let's say. By the time he turns 80, he made another $1 million, let's say. That money they made in between is not included. So you can't say, because you can't be maknit. You can't give over something you don't have yet. So if someone wants to do it that way and give it b'matana as a present before he dies, he can do whatever he wants with his money. He's allowed to do whatever he wants with his money before he dies. But it has to be right before he dies. If he does it in advance, 20 years beforehand, anything he gets in between is not included in that.
And what if he loses money?
Well, that's why people lose money.
The kids don't get money then.
No, I'm serious. Let's say he says, I'm giving 500,000 to each child.
So they take
right?
it half. You take it proportionally.
They do.
Yeah, you take it proportionally.
And heaven forbid he passes away.
Unless he said this house is going to this kid, this house is going to this kid.
Right.
He specified. If it didn't specify, it says half of my nechasim goes to one child, half of my nechasim, even if it went down in value or he lost it, that part you cut out, but the rest is split evenly. That's
so
if
increases go to the bachur or to the son.
The increase goes, whatever.
Are split evenly.
No, so it depends. If he's giving his house to the child, so the house goes up in value, then it goes to that child who gave his house to already.
Right.
But if it says half of his nechasim, it doesn't work.
Right.
It doesn't work. So there used to be something called a shtar chatzi zachar. Shtar chatzi zachar was what they used to have, and the Ramah brings it down, was you give over a chayv. Someone would say, someone could be mechayiv himself a chayv. You could say he owes money to a certain person. I could say, even though I don't owe you a penny, I could say I'm mechayiv myself. I'm owing you now $100,000, and it's legal. I owe you $100,000. I write it down on a piece of paper. I'm mechayiv to give you $100,000. I'm mechayiv to give it to you. So something called a shtar chatzi zachar, that a person would say, I'm owing my daughter a large sum of money, more than all his nechasim. On Tanai, I'll be moichel the chayiv on one Tanai, that they give her a chatzi zachar, half of what a boy gets. That's what it's called, shtar chatzi zachar. Half of what the boy gets, I'll give her. That's called shtar chatzi zachar. That's what they used to do at the times of the Ramah, but it's called the shtar chatzi zachar. So if after the person dies, his sons don't give the daughter half of what they get, then the chayiv kicks in, and now they have to pay the daughter anyway for his nechasim a large sum of money, and it wasn't worth it. That was called shtar chatzi zachar. Today they don't do that anymore, most people. But today there are ways, if you go to any... You do that?
I thought so.
It could be.
There was a guy that was speaking here about that. And he was advising us to get a from lawyer that knows his halachas.
Yeah, it's right. It's kedai. Any from lawyer who's writing up a will knows the halachic issues and puts it in. It's not a problem. It can easily be taken care of. The problem is when you go to a non-Jewish lawyer and write up a will, then later on you have issues. But if you go to a Jewish lawyer, they all know the loopholes of how to make sure it goes exactly where you want it to go. There's another shayla that comes out, which also in the Genesis Pasha about Shabbos Aveda, which is a very interesting shayla, a big shayla in the poskim. If someone goes ahead and doesn't write a will, doesn't write it correctly, after the person dies, according to the law, the inheritance goes equally.
English law.
Not the Jewish law.
English law, right?
Yeah. Anything, it goes equally to all the kids, according to the law of the state.
Not the wife. Not the wife.
Maybe the wife also, whatever it is, whatever the law is. So he's talking about, let's say the shadow there was that the father died, the mother's not alive anymore, it goes to the kids. And now, according to the law, the state law, then they split equally. So if the son wants the inheritance, the daughter has to write it off to the son, according to the law. If not, the son has no right to use the rest of the inheritance, and she uses it. Let's say she's a frum girl, the daughter, and she wants to go according to the halacha, not according to the din of the Dina. She wants to go according to the halacha. Halacha is she doesn't get the inheritance, right? So she signs off, and it goes to the son. But she says, "I'm okay to sign off. I'm not signing off anything. Why do I have to sign off for? I'm sitting on the side. You can't use it because it's under my name, and I'll sit there. I'll make a deal with you. You pay me half of what it's worth, I'll sign the paper. If not, I'm not signing any paper."
I thought she was from.
Yeah, it just have to be a nar. Right? If she's allowed to do it up halacha, you have to. So she mechuyev up halacha to sign it off to her brother. There's a big shayla that came to the poskim, and the poskim. This is a big machlokes in the poskim. Some poskim say no, she's not mechuyev. She can make a deal with him. You want me to release my half? Pay me out, and then I'll release it. So there's a big shot on the place.
So the Beis Din could insist that the son make the deal if he wants it.
Yeah, no, that's the question. Could the Beis Din force her to sign?
And you're saying that some Beis Din hold that they can't?
Some person hold that they cannot force her to sign. They cannot force her to sign. She can do what she wants. She can say, my signature is worth a lot of money to you. Pay me for it. These shaylas come up a lot. These type of shaylas.
Right. This drives me crazy. It's a machlokes, right? So it depends who's your Beis Din to go one way or the other. But it's a machlokes. I mean, the whole thing is.
It's machlokes. They bring rights either way.
Yeah, I understand. But it depends.
So what do you do? It depends who you go to. Yeah. So today, most Beis Dins won't let her get away with it.
They'll make her sign.
They'll make her sign.
Really?
Yeah. They won't let her get away with it. But in Torah, it belongs to him. Now, the shayla comes up. I saw a very similar shayla, that if somebody leases his apartment, rents his apartment to somebody else, it happens in Israel a lot. This type of shaylas. Ruvain rents his apartment to Shimon. Ruvain is the balabas. Shimon is the renter. Now Shimon's sitting in Chayil learning, and in Israel, it used to be you get a p'tur from Anuna. You didn't have to pay the property taxes. So Ruvain's the balabas. He has to pay the property taxes. And Shimon is renting. Now Reuben comes over to Shimon and says, listen, you're renting the apartment. If you sign the paper that you rented the apartment, I'm part to pay property taxes. You're part to pay, I don't have to pay it. So sign the paper for me. Shimon says, I'll make a deal with you. You go down and rent per month. You're gaining money of that I don't have to pay a little because of me. I'll sign the paper. But take over $100 rent per month. Is he allowed to do that or not? It's all a similar shayla.
Why can't you just kick him out and get another renter?
They could. They've signed the lease. Similar shayla. She's allowed to force it.
After you sign the lease.
After you sign the lease, they realize it, yeah. So, this week's parsha is Allah of Hashavas Aveda. You have to return, someone lost something, you have to return it. Now, we all think Hashavas Aveda is a very simple case. Someone drops something out of his pocket, it fell on the street, you find it, you have to go ahead and you have to return it. There's another type of Hashavas Aveda, the more brings down above Mitzvah. It's called Hashavas Aveda of Karka. Meaning, if you happen to be walking by someone's field and you see that there's a flood coming and it's going to destroy his field. It's going to destroy his field. Are you mechuyev to put up gates, whatever, a dam, to save his field or not? Is that considered Hashavas Aveda?
How's that a Shabbos Aveda? It's like saving. It's not really
so the Gemara says it's called Avedas Karka. The Gemara calls it Avedas Karka. Someone's gonna lose something. Not lost it. He's gonna lose it. Then if someone lost something, a chayfetz, you have to return it. How about if someone's gonna lose something? I see, not even as Karka. I see somebody's his wallet in the street. Let's say whatever. It's on a table. He's not lost. He knows exactly where it is. He put it down, but it's leaking and it's going to ruin everything in it. There's a safer on the table, and it's leaking and it's going to ruin his safer. Am I mechuyev medina Hashavas Aveda to go ahead and take the safer away? Of course, you're a nice person, you do it. But if I don't do it, am I ever alive? So the Gemara says yes. The Gemara says in Hashavas Aveda it also means preventing a hezek to somebody. So if someone's field is going to get ruined and you could prevent it and you don't, you're even the law of the suchel salim. The law is Avedas Karka Gam Ken Chayav Leishav Shem B'Ro'am Mayim Boim Lishtleif Stei Chaveiroi. He sees someone's field coming to get ruined. Chayav Ligdor B'Fneim. You're mechuyev to put a gather in front of it to save it. So a lot of places can say the same thing over here. If someone has a Yerusha and the daughter, the sister, could sign it off, she's saving him from his Aveda. He has the second half of his inheritance, which he can't touch now, because she's in the way. She could save it. How does she save it? By signing it off back to him. Why is that different than if his field is getting ruined? And you have to put a gather there to stop it. Same thing over here. He has an inheritance, and she could stop him from losing it. She's mechuyev to sign off with Dinei Hashavas Aveda. That's what a lot of places can hold. And the same thing will be even with the Anuna question, with the taxes. If someone goes ahead and he could save him from losing money just by signing off, he's mechuyev to sign it off medini hashavas aveda to give back to him his loss. Anytime you can prevent a loss to somebody, it's called hashavas aveda. You have to prevent it. So that's the whole sugya of Yerusha and wills. I don't want to get into all the pratim because anybody goes to a Jewish lawyer, they'll help you out exactly how to do it. But you have to know that if you can do it according to the non-Jewish law, it's not. It doesn't help. A lot of times it causes. There's potentially there can be a lot of issues afterwards.
Even if you do, there's a lot of issues.
Even if you do, yeah. My father would always say, "I'm not leaving over a penny. I don't want any fighting." No fighting. There's a halacha here, and also Hilchas Yerusha, which I'm going to change gears now. I'm not going to halacha now. Someone here asked that an elder should at least speak a few minutes of tshuva, a little bit, so we'll try to chap that line also. At the end of the whole siman of Yerusha giving it over from one child to the next, the halacha is you're allowed to give it over to in the people that are Yerush. It could be you're allowed to give it from one to the next. But at the end it says, if someone mishet siva lasas b'nechas v'tayv she'ef shalasas, if anybody says, what's his will? His will says, I want you to do with my nechasim the best thing that's. Do the best. Whatever's the best thing with the money you should do. So what would you say? What would you do? Tzedakah, right? Say you get tzedakah. Which tzedakah? You find a good gemach or a kail, whatever it is, right? So Allah is not that way. That was a pitch for the kail, yes. The Allah is not that way, but.
You should have said.
What?
You should have said it wasn't like that.
Yeah, so leave it here and stop. The Allah is not that way. Mishat si v'lasas b'nechas v'atoiv she'ef shalasas is the best thing that you could do with my money. The halacha is Yitneu li'arshov. What do you do with it? You give it to his kids. Why? He ain't toiv mizeh. There's nothing better than that. Why? That's what the Torah says. The Torah knows the best. The Torah says that when someone dies, it doesn't say his money automatically goes to tzedakah. It says his money automatically goes to his children. Now, our das would do. What do you mean? If someone leaves over a fortune of money, you go ahead and you should give it to tzedakah. Not that way. Allah is the best thing. Not just time he leaves it over. The best thing that a person can do with his money is to follow what the Torah says he should do with it. The Torah says
children or sons.
Yershav. It says Yershav. Mishet si v'lasas b'nechas ha'tayv she'ef shalasas yitneu li'Yershav. He should give it to his Yershav. Yershav means api Torah, whichever Yerush it is. The son, no sons, the daughter. He should give it to the Yershav. Why? Because that is the best thing to do with his personal money. Why is that the best thing? Because the Torah says he should do something. That's the best thing to do with it. So it's a good time of year to think about this halacha, not just in Yerusha, in anything. A lot of times you have questions what we should do. We go look here, we go look there to find answers. We have answers. For all our questions, we have answers. What's our answers? Open up our Shulchan Aruch, and you find the answers. There's a famous Maisa with Rabbi Abramsky. Chatzman was a mashgiach, and he once got. I heard the story years ago with an alarm clock. I think it was an alarm clock. He also got an alarm clock. He opens it up, and out comes an instruction booklet of how to work it. And he's very moved by it. So Talmidim was standing there and said, it's only an instruction booklet for an alarm clock. Why are you so moved by it? He says, no, you're missing the boat. He says, there's a lot behind this. So what is it? He says, they sent this alarm clock from who knows where it was made, in China, wherever it was, and they have to give us instructions how to use it. Why? Because we didn't see how they made it. So anything that you don't know how it's made, you need instructions how to work it. He says, every person has in himself a nefesh. A nefesh. We have a nefesh. Now, besides the guf that we have, the guf, how do you work a guf? We go to doctors, we figure out how to work the guf. How do you work the nefesh? Everyone has a nefesh. How do you? What's the instruction manual for a nefesh? What's good for a nefesh? What's not good for a nefesh? Says the Bechatzkel, that's the Torah. The nefesh came down from where? From Shemayim. That's where everyone's nefesh comes down from. From there came down an instruction manual. What's the instruction manual? The Torah. The Torah tells us exactly what is good for our nefesh. And now, you want to know what you should do, what you shouldn't do? You can ask certain people, and they explain to you very nicely why it's good. I always give an example that somebody goes to the doctor, and he says, stay away from chocolate. It's not good for you. Sugar or whatever, it's not good. Stay away from sugar. Why? He goes to the grocery the next day. He's looking around at the bakery, and he says, this is good. Chocolate is good for you. He says, why? You eat it, gives you energy, sugar is good for the body. Oh, he's saying it very nice, it sounds very good. Now, we don't understand why, after we eat it, why it's not good. The doctor understands what happens to the body. He understands exactly why it's not good for the body. And any smart person understands that whose advice are you going to take? The doctor's advice? Or the grocer's advice, who's trying to sell you, trying to make a penny or two off the bar of chocolate? Anybody seichel understands that, of course, you're going to listen to the doctor.
Based on chocolate sales, I'm not sure you're right.
That's the way it is. Unfortunately, what happens is you come there and the guf takes over the nefesh and it tells you to buy it. But if you think about it a second, of course, even though it sounds very good, it tastes good, and it gives you energy, it's an energy booster, doesn't make a difference. In the long run, it's not good for you. So if someone has a question when they get his nefesh, what he should do? And he's going to go ask somebody who's not answering him from Torah, he's answering from his own seichel, what he thinks, is like he's going to the grocery store and asking him if chocolate is good for him. The way we know what's good for us is not by going to people who don't bring you, who don't tell you from the Torah. So we have issues that come up and we discuss it and we speak about what we think, yeah, this may be the right way, this may be the right way. The right way is to look in the Torah. This happens ma'aseh b'chol yom, happens to every person. A lot of times you have questions what we should do. I'll say about ma'aseh, could be heard this ma'aseh a few times already, I don't know. From Rabbi David Ordman said it here once in the Kollel with Diane Fisher. Remember the story?
Tell the story.
He said a story that there was once a person who became Baal Tshuva. A couple became Baal Tshuvas, and they ended up moving into Mei Sharim. And when they were living in Mei Sharim, they both wore the Mei Sharim garbs and everything, and the wife had a mishagas, had an addiction, that every Shabbos she would have to smoke a cigarette. Remember the story?
He said this, he's the one that said this.
Rabbi Baruch said the story. Every Shabbos she would have to smoke a cigarette. And she would go into the bathroom and she would smoke a cigarette. So her husband was going crazy. If they find out in Mei Sharim that this lady is smoking a cigarette on Shabbos, they're going to excommunicate them. So what they did is they went to doctors and they asked them.
If they're lucky.
If they're lucky, they just told them, yeah. So they went to the doctor, they asked them they tried to went to a psychiatrist, and nothing worked. So someone told them, maybe go to Diane Fisher and speak to him, see what he says. So I went to Diane Fisher, I told him the story, and he says, she's nit kein Yid, she's not Jewish. So what does that mean? She's nit kein Yid, she's not Jewish. Okay, they checked into it and they found out that her mother or grandmother had a gerus from a non-religious gerus, and it wasn't a good gerus. They were megayeh her, a regular gerus, and the next Shabbos she was healed, and she didn't smoke anymore. So they went to Diane Fisher, and they said to him, "You're about Meifus. How did you know? How did you know that was the issue?" He said, "Not about Meifus. It's the first Gemara. The Gemara says, Goy sheshavas chayiv misa. A guy that keeps Shabbos is chayiv misa. This lady was trying to be good. So a regular guy this lady is trying to be good, and she's being shavis on Shabbos. Hashem didn't let it happen. Hashem did not let somebody be shavis, a guy be shavis on Shabbos, because Shabbos chayiv misa. Why should she be chayiv misa for? She's trying to do good. So therefore, once she became Yisrael, therefore she had the urge to smoke every Shabbos, because Hashem put it into her. And then after she became a gerus, a real gerus, she had no problems anymore, and she was healed. That's the Maisa. What he's trying to prove in this Maisa is sometimes a person has something, sometimes you have to go to the doctor to figure it out. But a lot of times, us Jews, we have different addictions, and our addictions not always are solved by doctors. Our addictions that we have, and we take a Sefer Musa, a person has an addiction, right? I can't get rid of something. I'll give an example, midas, whatever it is, right? So in the Goyish world, they don't have a hadracha, how to take care of these things. We have Adracha, we have Gemaras, we have Chazal that say, for this addiction, this is the problem. If we would live with those answers to what the Torah says, we'd get very far. That's what I tried to bring out from this Ma'aser of Dayan Fisher. That a Jew who has an addiction is different than a non-Jew that has an addiction. Because we have a different nefesh, and the way we deal with our nefesh is we look into the Torah and we answer our addictions, how we take care of it. So now every person knows, everybody knows what their issues are, and what their problems are, and where their chesronos are, and everyone's are different. And now that we're coming up to Rosh Hashanah, we start from Elul, we start Long Shofar a little beforehand. Why? Start working at trying to figure out how we are going to solve it, how we're going to take care of it. There's one more thing. There's a very interesting Orach Chaim in Pashas Bereshis. It says that we know there's an Issa in the Torah about Tosef. You're not allowed to add on to the mitzvahs. Now, it's a Pella that Misa on the world. How did the Misa come to the world? When was Misa Nigzar in the world? When Adam ate from Eitz Hadas. Right? Then Misa was given to the world. Now, what was the Avla that made Adam eat from Eitz Hadas? So Rashi says, so Rashi brings it down, the Medrash says, because Hashem said, don't eat from the Eitz Hadas, and Chava was Moisef. She said, don't eat and don't touch the tree. The Nachash pushed Chava onto the tree, and she touched it. Oh, you see, you can touch it, and you can eat it also, and she ate. So because of the Isser of Baal Tosef, came Misa on the world. It's a little harsh punishment for such a Aveira of Baal Tosef. The Chaim says in Pashas Bereshis that he gives a different explanation to the Isser of Baal Tosef. He says the Nachash was the Yetzer Hara. He says the mice of the Yetzer is that when you're trying to accomplish something and you want to tackle something, it makes it look very, very big, and it's impossible to do it. It's impossible. You know, you go by, you see them building these huge condos, right? And you see this little tract on the bottom digging a small hole. You think so? The one guy digging a little hole here, the one guy putting a nail over there. How's it going to end up being? A person who doesn't understand it says, how's that going to end up being such a huge condo building? The answer is, you go slowly. Don't look at the whole big picture. It's so big, it's impossible to accomplish. You do it slowly. Take one step at a time, slowly. It says the mice of the Yetzer is, the whole mice of the Nachash was Baal Tosef. He added. He made it look very big, and then it's impossible, you stay away. That's one thing we have to know. Nothing is too big for us to tackle. You do it slowly, and eventually, slowly but surely, you'll get it. That's why we start 30 days before Rosh Hashanah. Stop Long Shofar, some Sfaradim say, it's Lichas already, we're preparing ourselves. You come to Rosh Hashanah, you say, now I'm doing tshuva, taking care of everything, it doesn't work. Slowly but surely, you start chipping away, and then you'll be able to get to Rosh Hashanah. Right.